Hello there, welcome to Rose Heaven. My name is Ben and this is my garden. Here you are looking at the lovely rose Aloha. It is a climber, but it's mostly grown as a shrub rose. It has the most beautiful old rose fragrance and is always one of the first to bloom in the year. I have lots of buds coming, and I've also used this in my breeding, and it's also been used in David Austin's breeding, and I also believe Peter Beale's as well. Let's move on to the next rose here. This is Strawberry Hill. It is not doing particularly well in its current location. It doesn't seem to like the heat we've been having recently. I have lots of buds, but the flowers look really droopy, and despite the fact that I water quite often, they look like that. So this is not really loving its position, so I will move this one. The next rose is James Galway, which is just starting to open. I think that one is not minding the heat as much. The next rose to that is a Shropshire Lad, which is a discontinued David Austin rose now. It has a lovely tea fragrance. I was lucky to have got this as a cut-in from a friend of mine. And it always is one of the earliest to bloom. Yeah, it's a really good rose, I would say. It doesn't massively repeat, is my only issue with it, and I think that's why it was discontinued to begin with. And then this next rose here is Madame Alfred Carrier. Stunning. I would say blush blooms, because they're not completely white, because they have a slight pink blush in the centre. And this one has a gorgeous fragrance to it, and is one of the first to bloom always, and this was the first to bloom for me this time around. So this is the first part of the garden, and I have to apologise today for the audio quality, because it's very windy and there's a lot of outside noise going on in the local area, so I hope this doesn't spoil your enjoyment of the video. This next rose here is called Alchemist. It is an old rose. Unfortunately, it only blooms once. I've got a few buds coming this year, but it does fade out, unfortunately, in the sun. A lovely old rose fragrance. I can just get another one. Oh, and this is a climbing rose, by the way. But I have mine in a pot, so it doesn't grow as tall, but it has really lovely foliage, and that is Alchemist. This next rose here is Olivia Rose Austin. I got this rose last year, and it didn't really do very well for me last year, and it also had no fragrance. But this year it has a really lovely fragrance for me. It differs when I come and sniff it. It's, you know, like 1 minute it's raspberry, and then the next it's like an old rose fragrance. So this is Olivia. I do have some more buds which are just starting to open, but this is the first one I've got. It's quite a large flower. And then the rose next to it is Margaret Merrill, which seems to be giving off quite a ruffled, I suppose, appearance to it, because it's not meant to do that. It looks like when it opens, it tends to open more flat, but for some reason this first bloom was quite ruffled. So that one is Margaret Merrill. This next rose here is Mary Rose. It is a David Austin rose. It's quite old now, but you can still buy it as a bare root. Has a really lovely fragrance. It's described as old rose, but to me it smells like myrrh. It smells quite similar to me as Strawberry Hill. I'll show you another rose that I have next to it that has the same leaves. I believe it has similar breeding. It's just got a bud on it at the moment, and this is LD Braithwaite, and this is a red rose. So I'll look forward to that. I've got a couple of buds coming on that. And the rose here that's just starting to open is Eglantine, which is another David Austin rose. You can still buy this one, even though it's an old one. It has a really lovely fragrance to this one too. And this rose here is called Pacific Crest. It is a new rose for me, and this is bred by Kordes. I got this at the end of last year. On camera it looks more red, but in real life it is more of a maroon to purple colour. And it has a nice light fragrance to it, and it has the most unusual foliage to it. So this is the first time I will see it in its full year, is this year. So this is Pacific Crest. And this rose here is Clay Renaissance. It's also known as Liliana. It has huge blooms and the most, I would describe, delicious fragrance. I can't really explain it to you. It's sort of fruity, and then there's like an old rose fragrance to it. And this one is quite reliable, and it has a good repeat bloom on it. So if you're looking for a healthy, no-fuss shrub rose, this is the one to get. This is Clay Renaissance. While we're here in this part of the garden, I just want to show you what I've been up to. I've planted in like a grid system, which is easier because if you're new to my channel, I also breed roses. So this is easier for my setup, and I have used clay within my rose breeding. And this year I've decided to get some more Renaissance roses, so this is kind of like the Renaissance patch. So I will just give you a quick tour of the roses that I have. A lot of them just have buds currently, so there's no blooms. So the one next to it is called Bonita. Then we've got Amelia, and I've got to keep looking at the tags otherwise I'll forget because they're all new names. This one's Olivia, and then this one is Matilda, and then we've got Lisa, and then this one on the end here is Adelia, so that's the orange one. I do have another row. That one's Mum and a Million, which is also a Poulson rose. I think it is part of the Renaissance collection. This beautiful one, it's grown really tall. I've got to find the tag to tell you. It is Maria Renaissance, and this one is huge. And then we've got, let's have a look. Ooh. This one is Nadia Renaissance, and then this one is Bridget, which is also known as Birth Kajir. So they're the Renaissance variety. And I had, it was quite funny this morning as I was watering, a frog popped out right by these roses. And it was quite funny to see. I try to keep certain areas of my garden slightly on the more natural side, so on times I do get a bit of wildlife, which is lovely. I will show you what I mean. I grow a lot of Welsh poppies, They all have lots of different shades. Rose here, but it is going over. This one is Odyssey, and it has lilac blooms, but I do have quite a lot of buds there. And then I have Souvenir de Dr. Janine, which is climbing up this post. This isn't a rose, this is Sonnetti. Beautiful spring blooms. I thought this might be worth showing you. It's a really lovely flower to have in the garden this time of year. It can also repeat bloom, but it tends to bloom later on, like in the autumn, rather than this time of year. In this area now we've got Sweet Honey, just gorgeous blooms and lots of foliage. This one just starting to open is called Gold Bush. I don't know if you can see, due to the sun. Lovely yellow and lovely fragrance to it. And next to it we have Novalis, which has buds coming. And a few other roses. This one is, I think it's Jubilee Celebration. It's got a couple of buds coming. And then this is an old rose called Duchess di Montebello. And this rose here is Raspberry Cupcake, which is a Kordes rose. And then we've got here Bring Me Sunshine. Just a couple of other ones I got from the garden centre. I don't really remember their names. This is a lovely wallflower. Very fragrant. And a Tiarella I've got next to it. And behind that we've got Poulson, which is a Peter Beals rose. And this one, got to try and remember the name of it. It is David Austin Hyde Hall, is this one, which is quite short for some reason. Then we've got Sceptred Isle and Queen Anne. They're all David Austins, as well as Gentle Hermione and Princess Alexandra of Kent. And these next roses here are old Bourbon roses. So this one is Sir Joseph Paxton. And this one here, let's have a look, it's Louise Odier. Keep forgetting that one. And then I've got behind that Queen Victoria. And this rose here is called, it has a very strange name, it's Italian, Clementeri Carbonarii, which is a bit of a mouthful, and it is an old tea rose. And it is quite a reliable rose and has such a beautiful colour to it and a really lovely fragrance. The blooms do slightly naturally droop and it doesn't grow that tall. That's what it looks like there, but this is a lovely one, and this is also one of the first roses to bloom every year. Right, and the next rose here is called Ivor's Rose. This is a Peter Beals rose. It's just starting to open, but this has a really beautiful fragrance. And the rose next to it is called Best Wishes. This is a sport of an older rose, I think it's called Cleopatra, but and it has this really unusual streaked foliage. This is a very rare rose, and I do have quite a lot of new shoots coming from the base this year, so that's good. But this has a really lovely fragrance, and the blooms are just huge. See how big they are compared to my hand. And the new one just starting to open there. It's sort of like flame red, and then it opens and then sort of like fades out to this pinky colour, and then the petals have this reverse to it, which is really lovely. And then this rose here is called Autumn Fire. It only has a light fragrance, but it really is one of my favourite roses. It's very reliable and it's very hardy. And I have used this for breeding, and I do have seedlings, which is good. And we're just looking back over where I showed you where the Austin roses are. And we've got some more here. That's Flower Power there. That was quite popular with some viewers last year. An older David Austin rose here, I believe it's called John Clay. And then this one here is English Garden, which I have a bud coming on it. And then these are just various other roses like Sentimental. Let's see what this one is. That one's called, this lovely rose here is called Eyes for You. It is a Persica hybrid. This one looks a little different to the others. The others doesn't seem to have opened very much, but it still has that blotch inside. But yeah, this is Eyes for You. Lovely fragrance as well. And this rose here is called Desdemona. It is a David Austin rose. It's very beautiful. And to me it smells a lot like grapefruit, is how I would describe it. Really stunning rose, and always blooms early for me every year. So this is Desdemona. This rose here is a new one for me. This is Princess Charlene de Monaco. I do have some buds coming, really lovely foliage on there. And here is Tottering by Gently, which looks stunning this year. Its foliage looks really great. Lots of buds coming, but no flowers just yet. And I thought I would just leave you on this shot of my wild border. Here we have Campion and Welsh poppies, also known as Mechanopsis cambrica. And they're looking really beautiful at the moment. I've also got an Aquilegia, which is here. It has the most beautiful flowers on them. That rose there is Buff Beauty, and this is a Viburnum, which has grown absolutely huge this year, and I can't actually see to get to the flowers. See if I can go around to show you. Huge flowers, but they're all up there this year. I have to sort of drag them down. I'm going to have to cut this back this year, but this is really stunning, and I will catch you all again soon, where hopefully I can show you some more lovely roses.